Hello everyone, this is Press here, and today I'm going to be analyzing the Warzone map Raid on Apex 7. And my goal of this video is to show and enlighten some of my viewers on why this map heavily favors one side over the other. I am not doing this so 343 will change or modify the map or for any other reason like that, but purely just to show my audience why all the big companies and teams do not like playing this map. I will also be releasing the Attack on Sanctum analysis video next week. So starting off with some history, no one really saw or noticed a large disproportionate difference with the two non-symmetrical sides until these last couple of months. So last weekend, as a lot of you saw, Dominated and Allegiance played back-to-back games on Apex 7 and the results were the complete opposite of each other. On the first game, Allegiance had the red side, captured the Spire and won the game. And on the second game, Dominated had the red side, captured the Spire and won the game. They were also by pretty significant values too, so the games weren't close, and basically anyone who played in those games noticed a very big difference. This got me thinking, and I decided to look up all my previous sweaty 12v12 matches on Apex 7 throughout my Halo 5 career, and just as I thought, I've played 3 other sweaty competitive 12v12 matches on Apex 7, and on all those games, the red side captured the Spire. Now the first game that is on my YouTube channel was the Dominated vs Triple Cap game on May 21st, 2016. Now, even though Dominated did come back from this and had blue side, and the snowball wasn't big back then, Triple Cap was red side and did get the initial Spire. The second game was the sweaty mixed lobby of K-Man and Dominated against Acid Ascends and Detroit's Code lobby on August 2nd, 2016. Now, Acid Ascends and Detroit's team did have the red side and they got the Spire. Now, moving on to the third additional game. It was during last April on the second Warlords with Dominated vs Maniac. And Dominated had the red side and they got the Spire yet again. Now I know this is a very small sample size of 5 total competitive 12v12 games that I played on Apex 7. And I did not include a couple of Warzone games from the WASP meta because people would just spam 8 to 10 WASPs and whoever had their WASP there first and whoever had more WASP would just win the game. So I did not include those. But I'm now going to further visualize and show you guys on the map from a bird's eye perspective and explain why I and a whole bunch of teammates and people in the Warzone community think this map is unfair and favors the red side on getting the Spire and the overall win on Apex 7. Alright, I'll be showing this both through first person and bird's eye perspectives. This is on the Apex 7 Firefight variant due to using the custom game maps, so some rec stations and lifts will obviously not be there during regular Warzone. Moving on to the analysis itself, I'm going to start off by showing the amount of space both team sides occupy. The red side is a very broad space that allows the red team to easily expand around the Spire and get easy flanks and better positioning over the blue team. The red side has a cave flank on its left side where the 12-minute legendary boss spawns, and a cave flank on its bottom right side at the bottom cave entry of Spire. The blue team, on the other hand, has a very claustrophobic space and has a lot less opportunities and options for the team to expand out on Spire. The blue team has 2 flanks on its left side. One is a very slow beach flank, and the other is the same as red side, the bottom cave entry flank to Spire. Now blue side also has a right side flank to the 12-minute boss cave where red side has. And basically all these flanks can easily be countered by the red team, and I will go over these later in the video. Next, I'm going to show the huge flaws that these two sides have with their armory's positioning and their lifts. The red side's armory is virtually hidden from blue players pushing Spire, and like stated above, is located in a very open space with plenty of room to expand. The red side's lift sends players to a very safe location behind one of the jump-up rocks to Spire. Usually blue team players will like to flank into these caves to kill red players that are lifting, but smart red teams will always send a few players into these caves and almost guarantee safe lifting for their team. The blue side, on the other hand, is literally located in a very narrow rock hallway. Like, just look how insane that is. The lift is almost suicide once the red team has anyone on Spire, as people lifting are completely exposed, especially if the red team has carbines. Blue team's only way to Spire from their armory is either through the extremely thin passage to their claustrophobic and weaker side, through the caves under Spire, or through the extremely large and slow flank from their Pride Rock to the beach. Yes, blue team can use their pillbox, and that definitely is an option, but both the pillbox and the armory are essential to capturing the Spire. But since the blue team has arguably a way weaker armory push to the Spire that can basically be destroyed by the red team with little effort, it's just definitely unfair and gives a huge advantage to the red team. Moving on to the other advantages that the red team has. The red team has 4 really easy accessible points that they can jump up onto the spire, and these points can also be used as power positions with like carbines and BRs, while the blue side only really has 3 easy accessible spots, and only one of them can even remotely give you a good view on the spire. Now red also, like I've mentioned earlier, has many unique jump spots and locations that with carbines they can suppress the blue team from many different angles and many different vantage points. It's insane how the blue side does not offer this. The blue side does not have the same amount of vantage points and places to get, a good peek at the red team. One last advantage that I'm going to mention that the red team has over the blue base, and it's definitely more minor, but it's certainly there. But since this is an asymmetrical map, some bosses are going to spawn closer to the red base, and some bosses are going to spawn closer to the blue base. The ones that are going to spawn closer to the blue base are going to be on the beach. This is going to include the 6-minute 100 boss, a couple of 25-point bosses such as the Banshee Radars and the Phaeton Pilots. And on the red side, in the caves, it's going to get the 12-minute Legendary boss, the 18-minute Mythic boss under the Spire, and the pair of Hunters that are worth 25 points are also going to drop next to the Spire. Now, I do think the bosses that spawn next to the red base are better. They're worth a lot more points and are definitely more important. So I think the red also gets the advantage on the boss drops. So since it's an asymmetrical map, the bosses aren't even balanced for each side. Not to mention the blue base, is a lot further away from their boss. They're going to have to run all the way down to the beach, while the red side, it's right in front of them near the spire. Literally, the bosses are right there. So that's definitely one little small advantage I'll give to the red side too. Alright, so to conclude this video, I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of basically what the red team needs to do to get the easy win and virtually make it impossible for the blue team to even have a chance. So the first thing that red team needs to do is that they need to have a couple of guys off their initial spawn, go to their core room, grab carbines, and get on one of these power positions that I'm shooting at. Once here, they need to lay down long-range suppressive fire and make any useful calls to their teammates if they see any big or large flanks by the other team. Now any slays that these carbines get on the blue team will be very detrimental and have a big impact on the blue team's push. Next item that the red team needs to secure is they need to secure this landing for their lift. If they can secure this landing zone for their lift, then they can have teammates that can push up and repopulate the spire. Now the blue team, they're going to have players on their ridgeline and on their rock with carbines ready to kill any players midair from that lift. Now how the red team wants to counter this is that they're going to want to send 2 or 3 guys with good teamwork and communication through their left side of caves and push the ridgeline and the rock. Once they slay the people off the rock and the ridgeline and gain control of this area, then their teammates can safely land off the lift. Now one thing to note is that the blue team might have 1 or 2 carbines in their pillbox, but those players are usually not big threats, and 2 or 3 shots is going to back them down so they can regen their shields. Now the next item that the red team is going to want to secure is the bottom spire. Now this one's very obvious. Teams usually have shotguns and swords in these 2 hallways, but I don't look at it anymore like that. I don't look at it that you should guard those 2. I look at it as a 3-lane system now. So we got the initial lift that they have, we got the cave entry, and we got the long-range flank. If you can get all 3 of those covered, they're not getting onto the spire, and you will basically get it. So you can play this a little bit defensively or offensively, so you can sit back, watch these lanes. If you want to play more offensively, you can have players go all the way down here, and, just pick them off right off the lift, right when they were running through the caves. Also have other players push up right here. It's a little bit risky, but you can still have players push up. So, once your team has general control of the bottom spire, general control of the ridgeline, have your carbine players on these rocks push up. And once they push up and your team pushes up, and let's say if your team gets control of this part of the spire, if you get like 3 or 4 teammates on this side of the spire, they lost. They will not get the spire. Because look at this angle. Look how thin of an angle that is. Anyone that lifts, they can't lift. It's not possible. Like anyone running, like anyone trying to run here, it's not. So where are they going to go? Their options are the bottoms, the bottom cave flanks, and if we have players watching this, like this one guy watching this, can't do that. They have the pillbox flank, but if we have smart players on, the ridgeline and on the rocks, they can't really do the pillbox flank. So, I mean, the one thing I can see the blue team can do is if they got a lot of the initial slays, on the initial push, and got ghosts out and maybe overran the red team with ghosts, maybe there's a chance there. But other than that, I don't really see the chance. But that basically sums up this video. I hoped I changed some views of this map for some people, as I literally used to think this was one of my favorite maps in the game, but I never really noticed the, unbalanced factors on this map until last Warlords, where ALG and us played each other back to back on this, and it was so different, like playing both sides. But this weekend I'll be releasing my hyped up Warzone regular map, jump spots and tricks guide, and then next week it will be my Warzone AI boss guide. But I hope you guys have a good time and enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys later.